Hi everyone, Dave Sugden of Evidence at Trial. Let's talk about the joy of litigation. Yes, the joy of litigation. And I know what you might be thinking. You might be thinking, I'm not feeling the joy. In fact, I'm feeling the opposite of whatever joy is. You're working long hours. The job is stressful. You're replaying stressful events from last week, even when you're not at work. And you're having thoughts of dread when you look at the week ahead, and you find yourself Googling, what else can I do with a law degree? But what if I told you it didn't have to be this way? What if I told you that instead of feeling stressed, you felt excited? Instead of feeling overwhelmed, you felt fulfilled? And what if I told you, number one, you're not alone, and number two, it's not your fault? In fact, let's go to law school. Think about why you wanted to be a lawyer. Did you want to be the next Atticus Finch from To Kill a Mockingbird? Did you grow up reading John Grisham novels and watch Matthew McConaughey's closing argument in A Time to Kill and think, I want to do justice? Or maybe it was that Perry Mason moment in Legally Blonde. Whatever the reason is, there was a reason you wanted to go to law school. And then let's think about law school. What's something you heard a lot, both before, during, and after you were at law school? We hear it all the time, and that is, I can do so many things with a law degree. Oh, you're going to law school? You can do so many things with a law degree. You'd be in class and you talk to a classmate, and this person wasn't sure if he or she wanted to be a lawyer, but they would tell you, gosh, we can do so much with a law degree. And while that's true, did we ever think to ourselves, that's a red flag? Think about it. Have you ever heard of anyone going to medical school to do anything other than be a doctor? Or dental school, even cooking school, or is it chef school? Chef school, whatever, you get the idea. Does anyone go to cooking school to do anything other than learn to cook? And what happens at these schools? What they do is they learn what they're going to do by doing what they're going to do. In other words, in medical school, they start with a human cadaver and learn, you can't do much harm there, and learn about the human body. And my guess is you work your way up from a skinned knee to whatever you're going to specialize in. Same thing with cooking. I imagine you start with a grilled cheese sandwich and work your way up to, I don't know, beef Wellington. Now, let's go back to law school. How many depositions did you defend in law school? Or how many depositions did you practice taking? My guess is 0. Same thing with trial practice. How many times did you practice selecting a jury? My guess is 0. In law school, they have moot court teams, they have trial teams, and those are generally extracurricular activities. But even in those activities, do you take depositions? Do you practice selecting a jury? And when you think about it, a deposition is probably the most important tool prior to trial that a litigator can use, and yet we're not trained. Is it any wonder when it comes to the practice of law, we can have feelings of overwhelm or stress? It's not you, you're not trained. Think of it. Imagine a person going to medical school and all they do is read about surgery. Or someone goes to culinary school and all they do is read about cooking. It wouldn't make any sense. You wouldn't expect a first-year medical student to be able to pull out someone's tonsils if all they've done is read about surgery. And yet, oftentimes in law school, we spend most of our time just in the classroom talking about what actually happens in the practice of law. And could you imagine going to cooking school and learning from someone who's never fried an egg or never boiled pasta? Think back about your professors in law school. In general, most of them are academics. These are people that were such scholars. They did so well in law school that they were able to carve out a career where they could then teach the next generation of lawyers without ever having set foot in a courtroom. How do I know these feelings of overwhelm are common? I was there. I went to law school to become a trial lawyer, and yet I found myself early in my career feeling like I was playing chess for the first time, where I'd read the rules, and yet I was sort of making moves in real time, hoping I was making the right one. And I realized there has to be a better way to become a better lawyer. And so I did a number of things. The first thing I did is I would go to conferences. I would go to anywhere I could hear trial lawyers talk about what they did. And there were many things I picked up along the way, but this format had limitations. And the limitations is that the stories we would hear are generally anecdotal and they're sort of war stories. It's sort of like learning how to fish when you hear fishing stories where the lawyer would talk about this moment where he or she was so clever, they're rarely self-deprecating, where the witness said such and such, and the attorney was able to say, oh, well, did you order the code red? You're darn right I did, is what the witness said, and the jury erupted in applause. The judge was weeping, and you think, oh, okay, that's a great story, but was it even allowed? Did the other side object? And if this judge allowed it in that trial, would a judge down the hall allow it? And so I felt that these were oftentimes great stories to hear, but in terms of equipping me with the tools and confidence and competence to go execute, there was a limitation. So I went back to the books and I read all the trial guides and treatises about trial practice. And again, there's a lot of good information that I could get from these materials, but it's sort of like going back to law school. And so there are limitations where you learn the rules, you learn the theory behind them, but you don't really learn this is how you're supposed to do it, and this is how you do it effectively. So what did I do? I went to the source. I went and read trial transcripts. I looked at videos. When I'd watch the masters of trial and see what they did, I would go into courtrooms and watch trials, and guess what? Success, it leaves clues. I would see these patterns emerging and seeing this is how these master trial lawyers do it. And as a former college athlete, I knew the principle of watching, trying, testing out, refining, and it works. And I was able to get some success and replicate what these trial lawyers were doing, whether I'm representing a plaintiff or a defendant. I've been able to have some success. And this has taken time. I've done this for 2 decades. And so is that the answer? Go and read these transcripts, watch videos, and cross-check it with the rules of evidence? No, you don't have to do it. The reason I started Evidence at Trial is so that I could compress decades into days. And I've put out materials, and they're essentially the courses and materials that I was looking for and couldn't find as a younger attorney. And so, again, this practice can be a joy. And if you are able to spend the time to train, you will gain the competence and the confidence. Confidence is a byproduct of competence. And so what can you do? The first thing you do is super easy. Subscribe to this channel. We will put out videos that talk about issues of practice that I wish I could have seen when I was younger. How to handle evidentiary questions. What's the difference between a declaration against interest and a party admission? All you have to do is sign up, and it's free, and you'll get information along the way. The other thing is check out our articles at evidenceattrial.com and sign up for our newsletter. Again, you'll get information. The articles I wrote are the articles I wish I could have read when I was early in my practice. For those lawyers that want to get better immediately, and if you've made it this far in the video, I'm guessing that's you, check out our course page at Evidence at Trial. This is for the lawyers that want to take their practice from here to here immediately. We have a number of courses. We start with Evidence 101. This provides you the ability of understanding the evidence code from section 1 all to the end. And not just the rules, but how to apply the rules. And not just apply the rules, but make them weapons and use them as tools in persuasion. Whether you're taking a deposition, using a pleading where you have to have evidence in it, or at trial. We also have Deposition Skills Clinic. That is where you learn how to take a deposition, how to defend a deposition, and do it effectively so that you can leverage a good settlement, or if necessary, you have a valuable transcript for trial. We have Expert Witness Academy. This is where you learn how to work with your own expert reports, how to cross-examine experts, how to cross-examine them at deposition, get the information you need, and then cross-examine them at trial. And finally, Business Trial Academy, where it puts all of it together, where you get to walk through a trial from jury selection all the way to closing argument. The practice can be fun. Don't let your lack of training be the cause of stress. What you can do is take these courses and turn this craft into a job that is fun and, yes, joyful. So sign up, and don't do it tomorrow. Don't do it later on when you think you have more time. You'll never have more time. So I invite you to start that journey and sign up today. Thanks for watching.